Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to United Stand. We're live. I'm joined by Adam and Levin. How are we doing, lads?
Yeah,
good.
Right, mate.
Lots to talk about. We're going to be talking about Paul Pogba, and apparently Manchester United have a bit of a transfer plan around him. But we will start off what we were just talking about there. Adam's actually in a hotel room in Brentford because that's where he thought he was going to be tonight. But you've not just gone down there for that. You are doing some work down there, aren't you, Adam? But still disappointed.
Yeah, still really annoying. The fact that the stadium is literally just around the corner as well. I just had a walk down there. Then it's like a ghost town. Should be buzzing. There should be fans everywhere, and it just worries me for the future. Listening to Sky Sports News and what they're saying, and listening to the radio, that I hope this isn't like the start of the nightmare scenario that we all don't want it to be.
Yeah, it's a shame that we didn't get that game on, Levin. We are hearing that, I mean, it's from Neil Custis in The Sun, and people will say, well, it's The Sun, but Neil Custis has been around Manchester United for many years and tends to be quite accurate. He's saying that 4 first-teamers from the Norwich game have tested positive. Not necessarily started the game, but part of that first-team squad. And that tomorrow will be a key day, because if United come back and start training tomorrow in preparation for Brighton, those 4 players will obviously not be able to play because they'll be quarantining until a week today. So, yeah, Adam's probably right. It's not, Man United might try again to get it cancelled, which, to be honest, that don't sit right with me. We've got a big squad. 4 players ain't enough to get a game called off, I don't think.
Yeah, I'll be real. I wasn't really too focused on that. I sort of was like Adam, where I was just thinking, hopefully this isn't the start of like a league-wide thing, right? In terms of whether or not, that they decide to look to cancel matches or whatnot. Like, it's frustrating, especially for fans like Adam again, who are literally traveling all the way across the country to try and go to games. But yeah, I just hope this doesn't expand to other teams and we're seeing things just completely shut down. Because obviously, outside of football, people who might not be in the UK, COVID-related things are starting to kick off again, right? So there is that sort of fear.
Yeah, and look, the weird thing is, Adam, I mean, we're going to talk about Pogba in a minute. That's the title to the show, but obviously we should be playing Brentford tonight. And the weird sort of thing is that we've been in this world before where no fans are allowed in the ground, players are being tested quite regularly, and we didn't have a game cancelled last year. And now we're in this situation where, yeah, there's an increase in, well, I don't know whether there is, but there's a concern about this new variant. And, there will still be 75,000 fans waiting and allowed to go into the game on Saturday, but we're actually waiting on probably 3 or 4 players not being able to go into that ground. It does seem a little bit like the Premier League almost need to come out. I know they're going to have daily testing now, which will make a big difference, but it would be nice to have a bit of communication, which is what you were talking about last night, is, how many players is it before you do get it cancelled? Because I know in the NFL, and probably you're aware about that, Levin, as well, that there has been teams that have had to play and used youth players and stuff like that because the rules are in place that if you can put a team out, you can put a team out. But the Premier League just don't seem to provide that clarity.
Yeah, that was it, mate. That's what we all wanted yesterday. And I looked on the Brentford sort of tag and side of things on social media, and they're looking at it going, this is just pure favouritism to the big clubs now. I just wanted to see how their thoughts were on it. And then you start to thinking, that's simply because of what you just said then. It's like there's no communication from the Premier League. We're going mad to our club because we know communication with our club is garbage. I mean, I got a text message at 12 o'clock last night saying that the game was off. Like, literally, someone could have travelled up to Brentford, down to Brentford already. Someone could have flew over from wherever. It is, and it does come down to the communication side of things. Let everyone know, put it out there. Don't just say to the Premier League clubs and be in communication with them. Why not make a statement and say, look, this is what is going to call a game off. This is so you all know, and no one's going to be wondering if or but or complaining or making plans. And then the clubs should come out then and use that as their template to then communicate with their own fan base and say, look, we've got so many players that have tested positive. We know the club's not going to lie about that. It's not even in the question. And then it just makes it all so simple. And then everyone can just get arrangements and sort plans out. But again, it's like, why is it so hush-hush? You know what I mean? This is a worldwide pandemic. This is the coronavirus, a new strand that's come out now, and it affects absolutely everyone. So why does it make the Premier League feel like it has to be some covert operation just to keep it hush-hush and then drop it at 12 o'clock last night when everyone's asleep just to avoid the shitstorm, as you could say? But for me, it is what you just said then, Matt. It's simple. Just be out there up front, put the blueprint out for everyone to read. So we've all got the statement. I seen someone put something up last night about you needing like 14 players to go. If you've got 14 fit players, then you can go. I just don't know, though. That's the thing, mate. And I think now they're either going to change it, they're going to put it out there and make it clear. And I think that's probably the best thing they can do. Otherwise, we're going to get scenarios like this again. And I've listened to all managers on the radio today driving around talking about needing clarity. Thomas Frank was one of them, the Brentford manager or specialist. And we're training, we're all ready to go. They've been playing the last few games with a COVID hit player in Ivan Toney, so they're dealing with it. So what's the difference between us and Brentford? Because we didn't train, we didn't play this game. That was why we was waiting around. United had give up on the game already because the players didn't leave like they should have last night. So they'd already given up on it and expected the Premier League.
Well, they made that decision yesterday before whatever, because they didn't bother to train, did they? So
exactly.
They expected that, and maybe the Premier League were a little bit slow. Well, where would you be on this, Levin? Just before we do talk about Pogba, if we are missing 4 first teamers, and we don't know who that 4 is, would you want the Brighton game cancelled, or do you think we should play that game if it just remains as the 4? I suppose I'm sort of asking, what's your sort of limit?
Haven't they got 4 as well? And Brighton got 4 as well.
This is the problem I have, and it's the reason why I've sort of said to people I don't really have any sort of hard take because I'm just not as educated, right? And I would like clarity as well. I think that's important because if the guideline's going to be all right, if there are 4 players, blah blah blah, games aren't going to be played, then cool. But then I think there needs to be consistency because you're right. There are obviously other teams who are probably going, hold on a minute, but we had blah blah blah, and that wasn't even something that was an option for us, right? So I think as long as there's consistency, there's clarity, cool. The midnight thing, I think that was the one thing I did sort of go like, that doesn't make much sense to me. Like announcing it at midnight was a bit, that doesn't seem right. But yeah, if it's 4, I just want to know from the Premier League what their guideline is going to be for COVID and Omicron or whatever, Omnitrix, whatever they want to do for it. We need to know that before the weekend, innit?
Yeah,
well, it's like that, Mark, on that. Sorry, mate, to put in there. It's like if United haven't opened Carrington for 2 days this week, are they going to try and call Brighton off? Because that's why they're calling it off.
Well, apparently Carrington is open. It's open. The women's team are training and the youth team are training because they're part of a different bubble. It's just the first team squad. But I personally sort of agree with what one of you said, that if you can put 14 players out, you play the game, and it's just tough shit. Because ultimately, you'd imagine every club's going to have this problem at some point. So what are we going to do? We can't go back to a world of shutting football down for 3 months because some people have chosen to be vaccinated. Some people have chosen not to be vaccinated. Some people just want to get on with their lives. And ultimately, that's the same for footballers. People moan that some footballers haven't been vaccinated. That's up to them. But I don't think we can wait for everybody just to be COVID-free. I think you've just got to go, look, at the end of the day, unless you've got more than, I would say, I would actually just do that, because then it's like, if you've got 14 senior players, you play the game. Simple as that. And then you can, we'll have special dispensation that you can add youth players to the squad if you want to. But if you've got 14 players and 2 of them are goalkeepers, you play the game, because then everybody knows, don't they? And I think that's the way I would do it.
100%. That's exactly it, isn't it? For all times through seasons where teams have, like Nicole says there, in different games in the seasons, it's down to the club to get.
I don't blame, Nicole makes a good point though, Adam. I don't blame the club. I sort of agree with Levin on this. I don't blame the club because I'm not as educated and they're not as educated. I blame the Premier League. Apparently the players didn't expect to be playing this game at 3:00 yesterday afternoon, but you as a fan expected to be going to Brentford when you went to sleep last night, and you find out at 10 to midnight. Realistically, I don't blame Manchester United for getting the game cancelled. I don't blame any other club for getting it cancelled. What the Premier League need to do is do what we've just discussed as 3 people that we didn't even know we were going to discuss in 5 minutes, and find a solution that everyone can go, well, I might not agree with that, but at least I know, Yeah.
That's it. As long as you know, you can argue the point all you want, but that's clarity. You know what I mean? There's the rule. You're not going to agree with it, but at least everyone knows, and there we go. You know what I mean? It'd be handy if it wasn't just the clubs that knew, if the fans knew as well, because let's be honest, we're all talking there about shutting football down. Football is just a business like every other business that has to live with COVID-19. You know what I mean? So for me, it's no different. football is just the same as every other industry out there trying to survive with this, and it shouldn't be an exception. It really shouldn't, but move on. I'm sick of talking about it.
We will move on, and we'll go straight to 11, and we'll talk about Paul Pogba. So, story coming out this afternoon from the Telegraph that Manchester United are in the early stages of identifying replacements for Paul Pogba, with Paul Pogba still undecided on his future. What's your initial reaction to that story, and where are you with Pogba? I mean, he's still injured. Is it right that United are starting to look for those replacements now? And, you know, he's still here for another 4 months. How do you see this sort of panning out with Pogba, in your opinion?
I don't really believe a lot of it, just because I don't think a lot of it makes sense. For a while now, we've got reports going, the club's looking to replace Pogba, but for a while, Pogba's not been integrated into, like, Pogba's not had like a set role in the team or system that we've played in. So, like, under regular circumstances, right, if you're like a regular team that operates like a good football club, and you have like maybe like a director of football, whatever, and you have a player who's going to leave, you know, a first team player is going to leave, you understand what that player is and what their role is within the team, and so you look for people who somewhat match that, or maybe you want to go a different direction, you want to change up, but at least there's clarity there. Manchester United are looking for a replacement for Pogba. What are they looking for? Like, what are they just looking for? Like, just any world-class midfielder? Are they looking for somebody who can play like the half winger, number 10 role he did last year? Are they looking for someone who plays deeper in the midfield? Like, what are they looking for? That's why, like, when I hear that, I just sort of go, and then on top of that, you start hearing some of the names we're linked to, and you go, I'm sure I'd love him at the club, but that's not a Pogba replacement. Like, he's nothing like Pogba, right? So, like, I just sort of listen to it and I go, I get the club are looking for a midfielder. I'd expect that. I hope they're looking for a midfielder. But the whole, like, Pogba replacement thing, I look at it and I go, don't know about that one.
Well, you are right, Evan, though, aren't you? Because you make a very great point there that it's Pogba replacement. What is Pogba replacement? Because he's been on the left, he's been in the midfield, he's been a number 10, and, you know, you could argue that really it's not a Pogba. I mean, I personally think that, I'll go to you, Adam. I personally think it's not really a Pogba replacement. I think we need somebody who competes and allows rotation with McTominay and Fred, because that's the area I think that we are. Yeah. Whether people rate McTominay and Fred or not, one of them gets injured, the system falls apart because Matic can't run around like they do. If Pogba comes back for 4 months, that's where I'd like to see him be played as well.
Yeah, you both nailed it there, really, with the Pogba situation. It is a case of Pogba's staying at United or not. It's nothing to do with replacements, because no one knows really where his best position is still at Manchester United after 6 years. So, yeah. You know, it's what it is. Pogba leaving or signing a deal, put that aside. It isn't a Pogba replacement, what they're reporting. They're just using Pogba's name as the headline, as usual, trying to build it up in something, when really the guy who is coming in is probably going to be less than half the value of Pogba, and that was, 5 years ago. It isn't going to be built around that now. I think I talked on the show the other week saying, look, the days of the marquee signings for Manchester United, as long as Ralph Rangnick is in charge and going upstairs, them days are sort of over now. I don't think there is a marquee midfielder out there at the right age for Manchester United anyway. So someone like Rangnick is going to be going out there and looking for that gem that he's so good at and got his reputation from. It's not a Pogba replacement by any stretch of the imagination. And you're right, if he does come back, let's see what you've got for 6 months before we lose you again. It's only going to be in that middle. But to be honest, with Pogba now, I'm just fed up with the whole scenario, mate, and really couldn't give a toss anymore about him. I rate him as a player, but this whole saga is just a drain. The deal's there quite clearly. He wants to see what happens. COVID is really making him look bad right now because everyone's strapped for cash. There's no one who can afford him. The situation in Spain has finished him. There's no one else out there. And I think he's just running his contract down so someone can afford him and can afford to pay his wages because they're not paying a transfer fee. And to be honest, like I said then, I really don't care anymore. If he does well when he comes back in, no problem. Helps the team out. But I can't see him staying past the summer. Not a chance for me.
I got to say, I actually enjoyed the Pogba conversation for the first time in my life because it just takes us away from COVID and games being cancelled. So I'm quite embracing this Pogba conversation. So we'll carry on for a moment. I just wanted to say that to you, Levin. I mean, the Pogba thing for me, I mean, look, I've seen a lot of it today on social media. I'm sure you have. It's this whole Bruno's not as good as Pogba. Pogba's better than Bruno, which I love because I love both players. So I don't really care about that. You then get, certain journalists saying Pogba doesn't even want to be at Manchester United. I don't know why people are talking about him. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, that's the most important thing. It's been pretty clear on at least 4 occasions in the last probably 2 years. He does want to leave United. If anybody wants Pogba to stay or rates Pogba, well, no, it's not whether you rate him, it's whether you want him to stay. The only hope is that he comes back, loves Ralph Rangnick, buys into the projects and says, I'll sign the contract that's on the table, because ultimately my thoughts are that he probably does want to go.
And you know what, that's fine. Like, I see so many people that seem to have like a problem with that, because you've not even done this, right? But you saying that, Mark, there'll be people going, so Mark just doesn't think Pogba's good enough. Like, Mark just hates Pogba.
Yeah,
like, you must think Pogba's bad. It's like, that's fine. Look, we've had Pogba. It's been a good amount of time, by the way. Like, it's been a good amount of time Pogba's been here. It's just not quite worked out how we all wanted it to or thought it would. So if he wants to move on, let him move on. Like, if we keep Pogba now, I'm going to go back on something here, Mark. I can't ever get out of my head of the fact that Romano last summer literally said that if it wasn't for COVID and the pandemic happening, Pogba would have been gone. Like, and the club were accepting of that. So, like, this for me has always just been like a situation that, has just dragged out, and we've all sort of allowed it to just drag out and not actually acknowledge, no, hold on a minute, this was done. Like, this was actually done a year ago. Like, we know he wanted to leave, and that's okay. If he wants to move on in his career, even when he first came in, wasn't it always like the story was like, oh, he wanted to go Real Madrid, but it was like, nah, let's stop back at United first, then go. You know what I mean? So, like, it's always been like that. Like, it's always been a factor of, look, he might like Manchester United, he might enjoy living in Manchester, but he does want to do other things in his career, and fair play to him. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. But I don't sit here and think to myself, oh, I would love to keep Pogba. If we lose Pogba, like, it's going to be really bad. It is what it is. Just let him move on. It hasn't quite worked out. We're probably going to be better off without him, and he'll probably be better off without us. And sometimes you just got to take that.
Yeah, and I think as well with Pogba, it's like, if I'm absolutely honest, he's been here 6 years. It's been up and down. He's never had consistency. He's lost consistency of position under Solskjaer. I think he had a more consistent position under Mourinho. And, in 1 month, he can legally talk to any club outside of England, which is where he wants to go. And that club will not have to pay a transfer fee for him and will say, in the summer, you can have £500,000 a week. And to be honest, if I'm Paul Pogba, I'm off. The only thing that's keeping me at United is because I'm a Man United fan and I want to play for United. If I'm not a Man United fan, and he's not, and even if you are, he's still been here 6 years, I just think it's a divorce doesn't need to be toxic. It's just, this hasn't worked, like Eleven says. In fact, I think I said it a couple of years ago. It's like a divorce that doesn't need to be toxic. It's just not worked out. You go and do your thing, you do our thing. The bad thing for us, Adam, is that we didn't get the 60 million we would have got 2 years ago. We're not going to get any severance pay.
That's it. Yeah, the only thing that is slightly annoying about it all is the fact that he's leaving again on a free, and 50 or 60 million, whatever you might have got for him, would have been decent enough to find a good midfielder to come in to, like you said, compete then.
I'll ask you this, just what I remember. What do you think about that the club, there was a story a few weeks ago that the club said when they bought Pogba, they factored in the fact that they'd lose him for free in 6 years. I mean...
that's made up. I think that's made up.
This was true. I think it was in the Athletic or something.
I don't see that. There's no way under the Glazers that United are going to accept that they're going to lose an asset for nothing, having spent 80 million on him in the first place. And that would have been the only way that would have been sort of accepted is if we won Champions League and Premierships and we keep the money that way. But let's be honest, we've won we have won a couple of trophies with Pogba, but he's just part of a team at the moment that is not working and hasn't worked since Ferguson left. And there's no way I can see that story having any legs at all, because the businessmen. And one thing we do know is that, yeah, I know obviously this is going to change now, but I don't think the Glazers were even expecting what happened with the pandemic. It's just come about, like Levin said there. He probably would have been gone already, but for it. And right now, we're just going to have to take it on the chin. No fee. It just means we go out to try and find the gem instead. Someone cheaper, no marquee. Just try and build the team that way. Take it. But you know what? Being back in the Champions League, a good one in the Champions League, we know what money that brings in. That's what it's all about now. And Pogba, for me, he was gone a long time ago, like you guys said, and it's just never going to work. The changing of managers definitely doesn't help, along with every other player that's underperformed. And under Rangnick, if there was one player I said it probably didn't suit, it would probably be Paul Pogba as well. It's just like keep just nailing the coffin all the way along. And now you've just got your DeWalt out and just hammer nailed it right in at the end of Ralph coming in. See you later, Paul Pogba. That's pretty much signed, sealed and delivered. But I'm not having that story either, mate. No way.
You know what, Adam? Yeah, it's funny because I'll be honest. I don't agree with you. I do think Pogba could work in the system Ralph wants to play. But the funny thing is, it's like we're at a stage where obviously if Pogba had won like a bunch of trophies or whatever, like people would be satisfied and everything would be good. But it's like people need to just accept the fact that, you know, we tried it and it didn't work. And hopefully the people above, like you said earlier, the people above who like to just make these marquee signings because that's what they want. Like Pogba was that, right? It was just this marquee signing that's good for the brand and everything. Hopefully, once he leaves, there can be some evaluation where they go, okay, so this was the marquee signing. Did it work out for us? On the footballing side of things, no, I don't know about the business side. Maybe they will actually look at it and go, oh, Pogba was brilliant for us on the business side. I don't care that he's gone now. Like we benefit from that. I don't know, but on the footballing side, and hopefully now with Ralph coming in and Murta's role being more established, they will prioritize the footballing side when they evaluate that and go, footballing side didn't work out. Probably should avoid situations like that again. Move on, right? Like, hopefully him leaving can be like the end of that chapter where we now improve when it comes to us making these marquee signings. So,
yeah, it would be.
Yeah, on that actual there to say fitting in the system, it's not as much the system. It's the fact that Pogba coming back was probably thinking he was coming back to Ole with the amount of time left on his contract, with what Rangnick's got left on his. Rangnick's not got time to deal with this whole scenario. It just probably was the worst manager to come in for Paul Pogba right now. And like we said, Ralph's actually got a say on what happens to these players on the final year of their contracts as well. That's what was reported. So, yeah, and with him going upstairs, like we've said before, it just benefits the club knowing that Rangnick's actually going to win out this team, just fin it out and just make sure that the players that are coming in are going to fit into the right system. It's why it's crucial going forward right now. And we said it on the show the other day, Mark, I don't think there's one United fan who'll be bothered if there's one player in this squad who leaves right now. Really not. Probably De Gea would be a bit of an uproar if De Gea went. But honestly, no one's really going to be that bothered. We just want to see a system put in place and players that are going to come in and work in that system. And this is why I said the other night on the Sunday show, everyone needs to be patient with the results and not complain too much about what was going on, because this is going to take this 6 months of Ralph player-wise to figure out. And then the plan really starts in the summer. It's not really now. It starts in the summer, especially if Ralph's not in charge. So this is why it's important. And I do believe that, not for footballing reasons in terms of Pogba and his quality, but it's just a time now where I think Pogba just needs to move on for his own career as well as Manchester United's next stage. It just doesn't. It's been long enough, hasn't it? And it's not worked. So, I mean, no one's going to blame him. He's seen out a contract. Not many players see out a contract in full. True. So, from his side, you say that. But honestly, for everyone, like you said, Mark, clean divorce. See you later. Let's move on.
Can I quickly say as well, in case we're about to move on, I'm fine with Pogba leaving. I know, though, like a couple other players, I know for sure if Pogba was to leave, right, he'd go on to some club outside the Premier League. He'd have a brilliant, he'd look brilliant.
Which one fits him better? Which one fits him better, Levin? What do you reckon?
Fits him better? I think La Liga would probably be good for him. Maybe even going back to Italy, maybe that would be good for him. But I know for certain that Pogba will leave, go on to another club outside the Premier League, look like one of the best midfielders in the world, just consistently for a couple of seasons, and everybody would go, Man United couldn't get that out of him. Why couldn't he do that for Man United? And it's just
he's on that Mancunian accent there, Levin, mate. He's up on that money accent.
But on that one, I think you're absolutely spot on. But I would maybe be a bit controversial, but say I don't think Pogba or Klopp would have the desire to get the best out of him. And maybe it's a Premier League problem, because I do think he'll do well in La Liga and Italy and international football, because it's not the same as the Premier League. And I think that it would probably be a luxury player, which is what Ollie turned him into, because I always just think it would have been very interesting 3 or 4 years ago to bring in a Kante or someone like that, stick him next to Pogba in the midfield and see what happens. And I don't think he's ever had that player. And when he has had that player, which was Matic, when we played Matic, Pogba and Bruno for about 3 months, they were brilliant. But
was our best football.
Yeah, Pogba's got to have that player next to him. And unfortunately, Fred and McTominay just can't do that job on their own. As a pair, they can do the job, but not on their own. And that sort of forced Pogba to the wing, didn't it? But another player as well, just quickly moving on, Manchester Evening News, I think it was, saying Jesse Lingard. I mean, it sort of confirms what we knew, Adam, that what we suspected is that Jesse Lingard had a chat with Solskjaer in the summer. Solskjaer promised him first team football, so he decided to stay. And subsequently, he's not had first team football, and now he's thinking of going again. I mean, just don't listen to what Rangnick's got to say and just go. Like, you know, you're in a good position now. You're out of contract. You're going to be a rich guy in the summer and go and get first team football. Or do you stay again?
No, mate. It would be absolute career suicide for Jesse Lingard to stay now. I mean, I was thinking, you know what, there's a chance here now. You said to Jesse, look, Pogba's got Lingard. Ollie's gone. You know what I mean? That lie that was told you in the summer from Ollie, which clearly was in terms of game time, because he's just not used him at all. And now he's looking at it going, he's posting his picture in the West Ham shirt. We're all thinking the writing's on the wall. Then Ollie leaves, and I'm thinking Rangnick, a guy who likes work ethic, likes a player who grafts, who's got a little bit of something as well, can look after the ball. I'm thinking tick, 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 tick here for Lingard. And then he checks out against young boys, walking around the pitch like he shouldn't be playing with the youth team. And I'm like, oh, maybe Lingard is done. That's how it came across to me. I'm thinking, wow, mate, you could have took an opportunity there and led a young team there and shown this manager what you're about. But he just was not there, along with a few others I will add. It wasn't just him. But no, Lingard, I just think, needs to do what Pogba's doing this summer. I just feel like his time has come. He should have gone to West Ham in the summer, and he would have been star. He would have been an absolute star there at West Ham. He would have been in the England squad. He would have been definitely shoed on for Qatar, because we know that Southgate sticks with his tried and trusted. And as long as that player is getting game time in the Premier League, he's going in that match day squad. For me, Lingard, I think his time is done. I think we all said this last season. We were shocked when he signed, when he stayed on in the summer, especially with his contract running out. I'm thinking for the club and for him. But I do feel like he was the one who said, I want to stay. And then if he got that game time, I think he would have signed the contract by January. But honestly, under Rangnick now, we're seeing how he set up the team. I can't remember the last time United run change for 3 games in a row. It sets a precedent, really, for Rangnick and how he's looking at this. Would have been interesting to see how many changes he would have made for his first double game week with Brentford tonight. But honestly, Lingard, I did think was ideal, but I just feel like he's another one of these players that's just going to be weaned out by. I actually think Jesse might actually go in January, though, not the summer. I think he will go. That's what I think. I think United will actually get a little bit for him, but if we send him out on loan, he's pointless. I don't see the benefit for him or for Manchester United loaning him out. So yeah, I mean, he's on the list with Pogba, isn't he? Like we said, Ralph's got a say on these players who run the last year of the deal, and he's on that list, and I think he will be another one who's leaving. And cheers, Jesse. You keep me some great memories and some great moments, but I just don't think he's there for the future of this football club now. His time has been and his time has gone.
It's an interesting one, Levin, because, you know, picking up on bits from what Adam said there, I mean, you know, we all know that the club were desperate to keep Ollie. I mean, realistically, if it had only lost 2-1 to Watford, he'd probably still be here. So, you know, they sort of forced themselves to sack him. Yeah. But, I mean, that is a great point, isn't it? You know, Lingard was 25 million deal to West Ham, easy money, and he stays. I mean, and now he's another player that's walking out the door for nothing unless they can get him to sign a contract.
I don't understand it. And I remember because when I went to the West Ham game and all I heard non-stop was West Ham fans talking about how much they love Lingard and why they were confused at why he stayed at United. Like, they spoke nothing but highly about him. And imagine he'd be in the West Ham team that is doing very well, right? Declan Rice obviously consistently gets into England. So, you know, it's not like Southgate could use the, like, you're not playing in a big enough team excuse. Like, they're a team that is doing really well. I just really, you know, I don't get why he stayed. I think the big thing is, of course, you know, Ollie might have told him whatever, but we all do it. We tell people things, you know what I mean? And you're just foolish enough to believe it at the end of the day. I will say when it comes to his performances, maybe he needs to calm down, right? You know, remember he made the mistake against Young Boys. Of course, he had another bad game against Young Boys. Young Boys might just be his bogey team, right? Play him against anyone else, he looks class. But, you know, clearly against Young Boys, he has some issues. I just think it's time again for him to move on. And I like Jesse, and I think nobody should deny that. Remember when he went on loan to West Ham, how happy people were? Like, people were so nice and happy about it. I was doing a West Ham event, like I was doing an event for them on Twitch when the transfer literally was happening, and the whole chat was just people going, "Oh, really looking forward to Lingard coming, man." United fans going, "Oh, I'm so happy for Jay Lings. He's going to get some games." So like people like Lingard. It's not like he's not likable, but again, he's someone who just probably should have moved on. Like, it's weird to me, but you know, I get it. Stay at United, get to take some pics of Ronaldo. I would have done the same thing, maybe.
I think with Lingard, it's just very easy for me, and I've probably said it before, is he just had bad advice. I mean, even in the summer when I think I was taking the piss, you know, Ollie's there going, of course I'm going to give you game time. He's not. He's definitely not going to give you game time because you're not better than Greenwood. You're not better than Rashford. You're not better than Bruno. You're not better than Sancho. I don't think you're better than Donny, really. But, you know, look what's happened to him. You are on the bench, mate. And as Levin just said there, at West Ham, he was a hero. He was in the England squad. He even won Premier League Player of the Month. So he's, you know, now there was mention of family issues. And if that's the case, that's the case. But you've only got a very short career and he was tearing it up in the Premier League. So I think it was bad advice. And I think it would be bad advice to sign a new contract unless, like Levin says, you're desperate to just hang around Manchester and train with Ronaldo because he ain't good enough to hold down a first team place at United. So I think he's got to go.
Do you know what it is as well, Mark, though? It's like, it's not even just a matter of like not good enough. Because one, I don't think he's better than the players above him. But let's say in theory, he was like fighting for his place or whatever. Like, is that the best case scenario for him if he wants to be in the England squad for the World Cup, right? Like, that's just not what you want. It's similar to like Martial, what I said the other day with Martial, where it's like, in theory, Martial could stay and fight, but then at the end of the day, he always has someone like on his corner, right? Like looking over his shoulder. Whereas like if Lingard was to go back to West Ham, of course Ben Rama's doing a bit better now, but realistically, as long as he gets to the form he was in earlier, like he'd just be playing week in, week out. There'd never really be a question of, oh, is Lingard going to be in the team this week? Whereas even if he hit good form here, right, and he was playing better than some of the people ahead of him, there would always be that as soon as you do something wrong, yeah, okay, enough of Lingard, get Greenwood in. Enough of Lingard, get Rashford. You know what I mean? So it just didn't make sense ever.
No, I agree. I think you're absolutely spot on. If you're at West Ham, you're a first team star like Declan Rice, and Lingard would do the same. At Manchester United, you know, even if he has that 3-month Messi Lingard, well, as soon as it ends, he'll be out of the team or battling for his place. Just quickly as well, I spoke about this afternoon, so I wanted to get your opinions on this story that Atletico Madrid would like Anthony Martial, and have sort of inquired about that and a potential swap deal. I mean, look, I don't know who you'd like from Atletico Madrid, Adam, but obviously we were very in for Trippier. Do you think that Trippier deal is worth doing for United now with the development of Delo, or do you think that you'd still do that?
I honestly don't think that's a sort of Rangnick tilt on it as well. Looking at it, I think he's more in the development, bringing a player through to work in a system. I actually think that Rangnick would probably look at even Laird before Trippier. I think he would look that direction more. Honestly, I think people will say the obvious one, João Felix, player of that quality, but let's be honest, the other side is swamped as well in this. I mean, I can't remember if the age of Atletico midfielders and what they are and who's playing there at the moment, but we obviously know where we need a player. It's in that middle. We are top heavy, so Martial can go if he wants to go. The midfields, I mean, it's what we get. I mean, we've seen what happened with Chelsea when they went all in on Saul. That's worked out really well from an Atletico player kind of tilt on it. So I'm a bit cautious when it comes to them Spanish players in terms of coming in. They have to be outstanding and have it. It's like right now you look at them and you go, you have to really have something to hit the ground running in the Premier League. And have United got time to sort of integrate a player in right now? I think Rangnick would look more towards the youth rather than bringing in someone as a make weight in a deal. I think United should just sell Martial if we're going to go. I don't think we should be bringing anyone in from Atletico Madrid. One, I would question their sort of eagerness to make the move. And that's what loan deals and swap deals really are. It's like, is he really keen on coming to United? Does he want to come to United? He's a make weight for another deal. And it just never works for me. And I think Martial, I would say definitely he's probably going to go. I don't see. I mean, we talked with Ricky the other day. I know he's crying right now with the thought of Martial going, but it just doesn't look, like I said, an unchanged team for 3 games in a row with the likes of Greenwood and Rashford clearly ahead of him, Cavani to come back. It just doesn't look like Martial is going to get the shout. And just sell him again. Forget about this. It's like with Pogba before. It's not a replacement. It shouldn't be any swap deal for Martial. Just sell him and let's see what we've got. We don't really need a replacement for him because we've got an abundance. Let's get some money. Let's maybe look at investing into that central midfield because I don't see anyone coming through right now. People will say Jimmy Garner and players like that coming through for that role in midfield, but is he quite right yet? And is it the right time to bring a player through into that position, which has got that amount of pressure on it right now because of all the failures coming before him? It has to be the right signing. And I would probably say, look, Ralph, do your magic on that midfield. Find someone for us that's going to work in this system because I don't think any make-weight or anyone half-hearted coming in is going to work in that role. It needs to be priority, and there's nothing there for me for swapping with Martial at all.
Levin, I mean, we've also got Brandon Williams at Norwich as well. He's another option, isn't he, that could come back and do well. And so I certainly wouldn't fancy Trippier, but I suppose the thing with Martial is the fact that his wages are massive, aren't they? So it's difficult to offload. Maybe a swap deal might work, but Adam makes a good point. Unless they're going to give us a João Felix, or what would your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think people underestimate that like other clubs are like selfish towards them. So like, you see like the way as fans of United, like we will be like selfish to United, like, nah, we're not giving you Greenwood. What are you on about? Like other teams are like that as well. So like I'm seeing a lot of people in chat going, yeah, swap Martial for Llorente. They're not just going to give us one of their best midfielders, arguably one of their best players, just because we want to swap him with Martial. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people need
It'll
to
be Trippier. It will be Trippier, won't it?
If we were, I guess it probably would be if they, since there was previous interest there. But again, it doesn't really fit the profile of what Ralph wants to do. He's known for making squads younger, right? And decreasing the age of squads. It doesn't make sense for him to go out there and, get somebody who's really, really old, no disrespect, in footballing terms, right? If you look at other Atletico midfielders, a lot of their age profiles are also significantly older, at least in Martial, getting towards the 30s, if not already past it. So I just don't see us really being in for them. And of course, João Felix, I don't see that happening just because I think João Felix is, as much as it's not worked out at Atletico how they probably would have wanted it to, he still will be incredibly valuable. Yeah, he's still a very big asset for them. And I don't think they just want to trade him off for Martial. Like, that just wouldn't make much sense. So in terms of swap deals, look, I think I read an article a couple months ago about like swap deals that have gone right. But I can't really remember it. And I can't remember if there were many swap deals that have like ever worked well for both teams, right? Like they typically just don't work out for both teams, right? Typically one team gets the better hand. And I think in most cases, and maybe this is unpopular, I think in most cases, if we're going to do a swap deal, in most cases, the other team is going to get the better hand getting Martial.
Trying to say, Levin, that Keith Gillespie wasn't a good swap alongside Castro and Nicole? No.
Well, look, fair enough. No, fair enough, right? I think that actually, what's funny? I think that actually was in the article as well, which is good. I think it was on the Athletic or something. But
Gillespie did all right for them until he got injured. And
he did have some good moments. He really did, yeah.
Yeah, but way before my time. But still,
Mkhitaryan for Sanchez is probably the biggest profile one we've had, and that didn't work for either, did it?
Do you know what I mean? So what I mean? It's one of those things. So more likely than not, if we were to do an actual straight swap, am I speaking English? What's wrong with me today? Straight swap, right? Most times than not, like, I think the other team wins by getting Martial, and it's unlikely that we'd be able to get someone that makes that worthwhile. But I still think we should be looking to get rid of Martial if he wants to leave. Like, again, I don't want to repeat myself with the stuff I said about Pogba, but it's like, it's time for him to just move on, like, let's go over it.
Just very quickly, Adam, one for you really, as we come towards the end of the show. it's been passed in government that if you have been vaccinated and you come into contact with someone who's got Omicron, you don't have to self-isolate, which is, I think, common sense anyway. But also, COVID passports coming in for football. I mean, for as long as they'll let fans into the ground, they'll be doing this COVID passport thing. So
yeah,
I mean,
I would say on that one, if you are going to a Manchester United game, get there early because we are the worst at organising anything outside of a stadium. It's pathetic, but yeah, just get there early. It's quite simple. Hopefully, they'll have the technology to deal with it. I've been showing my COVID passport at a few away games already this season before this even dropped. They've asked me, I think it was Leicester, I think at Chelsea as well. It's just simple.
it's on your phone as well, isn't it?
It is. It's on the app. If you go on the app and put your details in, it brings it straight up for you. So it's dead easy. It's a little QR code. Hopefully, they'll have the technology to check it at the stadium because you show a QR code. It could be a QR code for anything. That's the official NHS COVID passport for your phone. So hopefully the clubs are actually acting now and getting ready for this. It just adds to the turmoil of trying to get into stadiums right now. But it's the world we're living in. If we've got to do it, we've got to do it. So let's not get too up about it. Let's just get them on our phones, print them out, whatever you can, just get them ready. I think it's right, sensible. If we're going to move on, until everything, if it does eventually blow over, I don't think it will. So we've just got to adapt to it like everyone else. But I would say is like, if we're going to do this as fans, crammed in 75,000, then there's no excuse for the club to come up with the excuse that we've had this week for not playing this game against Brentford tonight as well. So, yeah, I think that's priority. I think that's what needs to be taken from this more than anything.
Yeah, and I just to add to that, look, no one's got to get a passport. No one's got to get a COVID passport if they don't want to. You know, it's.
You just don't go. You just
don't go, and people will moan about that. But look, if you don't get a pint of beer in a pub if you're not 18, it's a law that it's well, I used to, but you know the reality is, I'm sure there'll be ways around it, but it's just the way it is, isn't it? And there's there are quite a lot of footballers that haven't had the vaccine, and some people would say, well done to them for that. So look, no one's saying you've got to do it. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying it's been passed. Adam goes to the matches, and he's given us the advice to get there early if you do decide to go. Because I've been to United a few times, and there are old checks. You could I dread to think what you could actually take in there that you're not meant to take in. And
it's ridiculous. Yeah, but don't get early to Norwich. They don't serve alcohol for the away fans, so that's one thing I would say.
There you go.
Just take your time. If you want a drink, forget it.
We'll end it there because I'm going to go on to That's Football to watch fucking Man City against Leeds. Great. meant to be Brentford, Man United. Yeah, I did say earlier I'm watching football tonight no matter what. Man United can swivel on it, so I am going to watch Man City against Leeds. Hopefully Leeds will get a shock, but they probably will get a shock as they're 6-0 down. But hopefully we will get a shock. But if you want to join me on there for a bit of a chat, you can do on That's Football. But it was meant to be Man United Brentford tonight. Adam's actually down in Brentford, so let's just fingers crossed and see if we get Brighton on Saturday. Because if we don't, it's going to be over 2 weeks without a match.
I tell you what, I thought travelling down to Brentford would have been hard work. God help the Brighton fans if we leave this as long as we did with the Brentford announcement. It's a long way up to Manchester for them guys. So they need to make the announcement, I think, by Thursday at the latest, and just say, look.
The worst one for me was one of United standards who's a Manchester, obviously United fan, and lives in America, and he's DMing me last night going, I'm just about to get on a plane from New York. I'm flying over to be for the Brentford game, and then we're going up for the Brighton game. What do you think? And I'm like, I do think it will get called off, but I'm never going to tell you not to get on the plane because then it'll be bloody on. And so I think he did get on the plane.
And no phone signal till he got back.
Everything's on Brighton now. If you go to the Etihad, they'll definitely have tickets tonight.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna come in at some point. I just didn't know when or where you were gonna slot it in. But yeah.
Well, look, thanks both for coming on. We'll see how the week develops.
No worries, mate.
And hopefully we'll be moving towards the Brighton game at the weekend. I actually do think United will play the Brighton game. I'm just not convinced Brighton will play the United game because they're playing Wednesday night, and then Saturday lunchtime they might think, no, we fancy a bit of a rest as well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is it. Make a rule, make a precedent, make it clear to everyone before they all start using it as an excuse.
Definitely. All right, thanks, 11. Thanks for coming on, pal.
I appreciate it. I've been having some struggles on social media today. Twitter doesn't like me and they kicked me off their platform. But other than that, great.
They don't think you're dead again.
It was Instagram. No, Instagram thought I was dead. This time, Twitter. So Instagram thought I was dead. Twitter just don't want me. So
this is true. Levin was dead on Instagram for literally dead for a few hours. They it was rest in peace, Levin, and all all sorts.
It said remembering Levin on my profile and everything. Yeah, sad.
That's weird. Wow. So what are you off Twitter for? You're allowed to say, or no?
My birthday. So I made my Twitter account before I was 13, and I obviously forgot that I did that. So I went to put in my actual birthday, and obviously it was like, hold on a minute, you didn't make your account. You made your account when you were 13, and then they just banned me. So I know some people from like Fortnite and stuff, and they're helping me out. So hopefully it should be sorted. But yeah,
me and Adam wouldn't have that problem because Twitter. Wouldn't have even been invented.
Yeah. No. We're clinging on to the younger generation.
Yeah.
Well, look, thanks for coming on, Adam.
No worries, mate. Anytime.
Safe trip back from Brentford.
Yep, loving it. I'll be listening to the build-up to all the games that are on tomorrow night anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, move on.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you want to join me on That's Football, I'll be over there in a couple of minutes. And, take care, everyone. And thanks for joining us tonight.
Have a good night, everyone.